Hey, how you're doing? So we're going to have a quick chat about taking risks and when it doesn't work out. So what do you do? Okay, so I talked about this in a few videos. So when taking risks, I explained that a lot of the time there is a formula for when people will take a risk. Most people are risk averse, right? They will generally only be prepared to take a risk. If you've got two choices, most people will take the risk if the upside is 1.5 to 2.5 times the risk of the downside. So most people are risk averse, and you're better off to train yourself to have a trader's mindset. So when you approach making decisions where there's a bit of risk, try to remove your emotions, because your emotions will get in the way here. And this is because, we have our inbuilt fears, and this is how the brain works. Most people will do more to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. This is why it generally needs the upside to be 1.5 to 2.5 times the downside before anyone will even consider taking a risk. The best thing you can do is train yourself to look at an asymmetrical upside, right? Always look, is there an asymmetrical upside? And even if it's slightly higher, now the risk tolerance will be depending on how the magnitude of the risk. If it's something simple like do I buy this t-shirt or that t-shirt, well, you could almost flip a coin on it. Or maybe you look for the smallest asymmetrical upside, so it doesn't need to be 1.5 to 2.5 times. Maybe it only needs to be 1.1 times in favor of this option than that option. Therefore it's a small gain, or the chance of this one giving me a better result. I mean, it doesn't matter with a t-shirt, like I said, but I think you get it. Maybe like I always use the example of booking a hotel room. Maybe this one's slightly better because it's got a slightly better sea view than that one, but you don't quite know because you're not there. So on balance, what's the risk? Well, this one looks slight in favour. Is there a cancellation? If there's a free cancellation, just book it, because the stakes are so low. Where the stakes are higher, like you wouldn't gamble on your life or anything silly like that. Maybe you wouldn't gamble on your house. You're going to take you want the upside to be massively in favour at that point. So the stakes matter. But sometimes we take a risk on something and we've done everything that we can, because all we can do is create a plan, work it through, look at everything, logically, look at the possible outcomes, and then we make a decision. And as long as we've done everything we can according to our plan, and let's say it doesn't work out, at that point you just got to accept the outcome, because this is what risks are about. We have to take risks in life in order to advance, right? And any decision is taking a risk, because any decision means you're saying yes to something and no to something else. So when it doesn't work out, a lot of the time we just have to accept it, right? But knowing that you gave it your best based on the knowledge that you had at the time, the tools that you had available, and you created a plan, you looked at all the pros and cons of either option, and knowing that you chose that one, and let's say there was a 10% chance that this is likely to go wrong, and maybe a 90% there's going to be a success. They are really good odds. Let's say the odds were quite, 75-25 or 70-30, right? And you decided to take the risk, and then unfortunately it didn't work out. As long as you did everything you could, you accept it, just like you would playing a poker hand. You accept the loss. What do? You carry on then. Do not let that past risk, the failure, affect you moving forward. Your attitude should be then, next day, you're going to act the same. If another opportunity comes up, you're going to take the same risk again. Because this is how odds work, right? If you let that loss then affect you emotionally, and then the next time you're even more risk averse, you're likely to get less and less favourable outcomes. The best way to approach this It's like if you've ever played poker, right? I'm not a gambler, but every kind of Christmas time, I always have a bit of a cards night with the lads. We've done it every year for years, but I don't gamble, right? I wouldn't go into a casino. I have done, but it's not my thing. I don't even play the lottery, right? Because I like to create my own luck by creating the conditions for luck by doing the right things. But I don't gamble. But whenever I've played poker, what happens? You start with what's called a blind, which is a minimum amount of payment for each hand. And then as the stakes rise, as the game goes on, the blinds after, you agree it, maybe it's one turn around the board or twice in terms of dealing, the blinds go up. Now, the blinds are actually forcing you to put more money down. Now, if you get more and more risk averse as that game goes on, you'll end up putting money in as a blind on hands you don't want to play and never going for the hands. When you have a good hand, you're never playing because you're so risk averse. So if your risk averse amount of risk appetite gets worse as the game goes on, you're more risk averse, you'll end up losing money. You'll end up losing through putting blinds in, and eventually you'll be out of the game. So the best approach is to always treat, no matter what happened, you should always treat every hand the same. Is it a good set of cards? Have I got good odds? If I have, you could almost train a robot like an algorithm to play this for you, and that's pretty much what the computer games do, the betting games and things. It's just an algorithm. It's like looking at all the odds. Have I got the likelihood to play here? Not letting my emotions come in place, taking that risk. Same with any investment, really. When we say create a trader's mindset, it's understanding that the loss aversion is an emotional issue, and taking risks is also an emotional issue, right? Learning to look for asymmetrical upside and going for it, and that's all you need to do. So when it doesn't work out, all you can do is look, have I assessed this risk as good as I can? Yes. Did I do everything I could to minimize that risk? Yes. Did I, look at all the pros and cons? Yes. So I've made the decision, accepting the outcome at that point when it doesn't go wrong, and not letting it affect you moving forwards. Hope that was helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe. See you all next time.